Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. I want to do this video, a little short video, titled, Are You Really Prepared? If you follow my channel, you'll know that I tried putting up a video earlier today that was unsuccessful. And what happened was the only thing I had was my phone, and there's a way you can actually record a video and upload it from your phone, and for some reason I got that goofed up somehow. But anyway, thought I would do the video here now that I'm back at the house safe and sound, just to kind of discuss a few things with you. The video I tried posting earlier today was me on the side of the road. So took a family vacation recently, just got back today. We were gone a week. We were down at the coast and at the beach, and if you also follow my channel, you'll know I've got a bug out trailer that I said that I use for other things. And the bug out trailer I don't really have set up. It's just essentially an enclosed trailer. And I don't have it set up per se, you know, with sleeping arrangements and things like that. And I discussed that in that video, that I use it for other things, just to have for vacation. I can take things with me, and for the past 4 or 5 years we've always taken that enclosed trailer. It's just been a nice thing to have with us, so I can basically, you know how it is, you go on vacation as a kid, you remember Dad used to pack the car and stuff was hanging all over the place and you were cramped up and everything else. And because of my family that goes with us, an extended family, it just is easier with the trailer to have all our gear in that. So with that said, why I was stranded on the side of the road today was the fact that I was driving down the interstate and a guy flagged me down, come up beside of me and told me I need to check my trailer wheel tire. So I pull off the side of the road and I look. Lo and behold, sure enough, I've blown the bearing out. Well, you know, I'll go ahead and admit, the first thing, I didn't have a spare tire. And as I was pulling off to the side of the road, I told my wife, I said, I don't have a spare. So that was what I thought was wrong with it. Possibly, you know, it had a hole in it, tire shredded, something like that. But lo and behold, even if I had a spare, which I'm not making excuses, but even if I would have had a spare, then I did not have any way to repair a complete bearing assembly. Now, I think I could have saved the hub itself if I had a new bearing set, but I wound up calling a roadside assistance. It was a tire company, local tire company to that area. Luckily, they were only a couple miles away, and they came out, roadside assistance, and 2 hours later and $225 later, I was on my way back home. So my point to this is, we spent all this time and money and effort, and I don't consider myself an expert, you know, in all things prepping and survival, but I do feel like that I've got a lot of experience at it, and that's why I have my YouTube channel. But even the experienced people, it is hard to prepare for everything. So, you know, it's one of those deals. Even if I had a spare tire, which I should have, I, you know, admit that even if I'd had the spare tire, like most preppers would have thought of, okay, got to have a spare for my trailer, have a jack, have the proper tools, and all that. What would happen if you busted a wheel bearing like that? So my point to this is, you know, and there's another, and I'll talk about something else here in a minute, and that's why I've got a couple things laid out on the table, but I want to address the wheel bearing situation. Even our best efforts from people that, you know, fairly diverse in knowledge of prepping and survival, you can have a kind of an emergency situation. If that had been a grid down situation or, you know, bug out situation kind of thing, and I'm trying to get out of Dodge, you know, with my stuff, and everything that I was going to take with me, that, you know, my worldly possessions that was going to keep us sustained for an extended period of time was on that trailer, simple wheel bearing out. Then what? So, you know, there's some things we can look at. You can look at preventative maintenance on things like trailers and vehicles, but do you really want to go around and replace every wheel bearing in your car or truck before they go bad? Most people don't do that. Now, I do recommend belts, hoses, things like that that you know can go bad. You know, I try keeping a fresh serpentine belt. Most cars this day and time have one big belt. It's called a serpentine belt, right? So I will switch that thing out pretty quickly. But I will say this, in my vehicle, my bug out vehicle, which is my FJ Cruiser, about 2 months ago, I guess, alternator went out. I pulled into a shopping center and I heard a squeal, and I thought it was actually somebody in the parking lot besides myself, and then I realized it was my vehicle doing it. The alternator never went completely out, but it was still charging enough to get me where I needed to go. So I immediately went over, I left the shopping center, went straight over and bought an alternator, and then spent the better part of 3 hours, 4 hours trying to get that thing changed out, because it was not the easiest to get to. So my point is, the most prepared you can be, things still happen. It doesn't take much to cause you a problem, especially with motorized vehicles or trailers. Wheel bearings, something as simple as a serpentine belt break or alternator go out. Of course, batteries, that's another thing, what have you, and there you sit. A coil pack go out on your vehicle. Can you keep all that stuff? A lot of guys that do overlanding keep a lot of things extra, even as far as extensive as drive shafts and U-joints and a lot of different things, but most typical preppers are not getting to that extent of having spare parts that could leave you stranded. If a headlight goes out, not going to leave you stranded, right? So do you want to buy a bunch of extra bulbs? Probably not. But some main items I would try keeping on hand that would probably leave you stranded. Serpentine belt being the biggest, things like that. But are you going to actually replace your wheel bearing on the side of the road of your vehicle? Probably not. Some people have that capability and know-how, some people don't. So the other thing I wanted to mention, there was a few other things that came along when I was down at the beach. There's a place down at the beach that we go that's fairly remote, that is accessible by four-wheel drive only. So it's kind of a four-wheel drive type beach. We go out, there's a handful of people. Any given time you might see 50 to 100 total people on, I forget, it's probably a 3 or 4 mile stretch of beach. And I had my radios and things like that, and I got to remembering, I don't think I've got marine radio band in my radio programmed. So I was at one of the local stores there, and I actually picked one of these up thinking, hey, so I got to Googling, what was the marine band frequencies and things like that, because that was probably going to be the easiest way for me to get help if I needed it, was to radio somebody through marine band first, because you don't have a cell phone signal there. So you would probably get a marine band frequency to respond to you quicker. Then you could tell them where you were, and then they could contact the Coast Guard or somebody in land to get you some help there. So again, these little things come up, and so I started making a list while I was on vacation of little things that I'd either forgotten or didn't think about, stuff, just basic stuff. I didn't have the tools. Well, I had some tools. I always carry tools with me, but I didn't have a jack. And I'll be honest with you, not making excuses, but I did leave in kind of a hurry going to the beach because of a work situation and some other things that came up. So I kind of packed up very quickly. Normally I would carry a floor jack that I have, just a simple aluminum Harbor Freight deal, that I could have easily jacked that trailer up, pulled that thing off, and then maybe left the trailer sitting and then went up the road, because I had a way to lock up the trailer, the tongue also. So I could have left it there. Luckily, those people come along. It was worth the $200 some dollars, $225. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was more money than I wanted to spend, but at the end of the day, it got me back on the road. Very nice people, and I want to say thank you to them for doing that. They actually texted me a couple hours later and asked me if I'd made it home yet. So they were very nice folks. But anyway, the point of this video is just to kind of remind people that it's hard to be prepared for everything, and don't think that some surprises could come up that could cause you some problems. Something like I ran into today. Luckily, we wasn't in a grid down situation. We wasn't in some emergency situation. We just sat there with the car running, air conditioning on. Everybody was happy, okay with it. We had some snacks, whatever. So we just kind of kicked back and, made the best of it, waiting on the guys, because they had to come to us, figure out what was wrong. Then they had to leave, drive about 20-30 minutes up the road, because we were kind of in an area that was not very well populated. they had to drive 20-30 minutes one way to get the part and then come back and repair it and everything. So it was, like I said, we made the best of it while we could. But I'm sorry about the video earlier, guys. Some people posted up and said, what, a 2-second video? I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I actually recorded the video on the side of the road that did not, for some reason, wind up going correctly onto YouTube, and I apologize. But anyway, guys, again, just wanted to kind of give you some simple things to think about when you're doing your prepping. You know, the high speed, low drag stuff's nice, but the simplest little thing could cause you to have some major problems. And you need to have some, you know, some contingency plans, things like that, or some, you know, parts maybe you hadn't thought about buying, or at least look into a little more maintenance. That's probably my fault. You know, again, on the trailer, I don't use it a whole lot anyway, so probably in hindsight, I probably should have, because the trailer's getting a little age on it, I probably should have went in, put fresh bearings, you know, whatever, check the wheels, tires, all that good stuff, and or even just changed out the bearings. You know, it's better than leaving you on the side of the road. So anyway, I'm going to try doing a little more better on my side as far as a little better maintenance and on some things like that before I trek off onto a 5-hour trip away from my house. But anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. If you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. It's over there in that section. If you would share content, it's over in that section. If you're not a current subscriber, hit the subscribe button, and then you can hit the little bell out beside of it. It'll notify you when we have other videos that we post up to YouTube. Then you can follow those and watch those. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll bring another video shortly. Have a great day.